Hello there, everybody. I want to tell you an interesting story about Jerry Springer and I. We sadly received the news the former talk show host and mayor of Cincinnati has passed away at the age of 79 from pancreatic cancer. I was always mesmerized by Jerry Springer. He had tremendous charm, wit, and always came across as extremely intelligent and down to earth, despite the contrasting low-brow nature of the Jerry Springer Show. The story begins at this place, Highgate Station in North London. For anybody who has been there, you'll know this is the Priory Gardens entrance, and at the top there is Archway Road. Jerry Springer was born inside Highgate Station in 1944. The station was being used as an air raid shelter, as many underground stations were during World War II. Jerry's parents were German Jews and had fled Prussia and were housed in nearby East Finchley. Where I come into this story is I happen to have worked at Highgate Station for a few years, doing various maintenance tasks to keep the old place up and running. Now, this is where I lived at the time. No more than a 20-minute walk away from Highgate Station, this is Belvedere Court. And I lived up here. Right up here. One spring morning, I had just concluded a night shift when I was about to clamber into my pit at about 9:30 a.m. However, there was a buzz on the intercom. It was a woman, but I could barely hear what she was saying, so I buzzed her in and went out into the stairwell to greet her and find out what she wanted. This lady had two small children in tow that she introduced as her grandchildren. She spoke with a distinct American accent and introduced herself as Evelyn, and perhaps, more crucially to the story, also the sister of Jerry Springer. Naturally, I was taken aback and confused, for I was on the verge of going to sleep, and now I am faced with somebody professing to be the sister of a TV and political icon. I recall Evelyn saying to me, quote, "You look confused and you have every right to be," unquote. She went on to explain when her parents fled to the UK, they were housed in a flat in East Finchley, and it just so happened I was living in that very flat, 48 Belvedere Court, up here. I remember saying to her, quote, "No way. Guess where I work," unquote. And she looked at me blankly and went, "Where?" And I said, "Highgate Station." To which she replied, quote, "No, really?" unquote. And I said, "Yep, it was really weird for us to both discover I both worked in the place Jerry was born and lived in the very flat he grew up in." Evelyn went on to ask if it would be okay if she showed her grandkids around the old place. I said absolutely, 100%, yes, of course, and let them in. And despite this flat being no palace, it had a pretty bad damp problem in one of the rooms, for example. It was clearly a moving experience for her and brought back many memories. They were inside the flat for all of 10 minutes, and they thanked me for their time and went on their way. But not before I said, quote, "Please let Jerry know he is welcome any time," unquote. And Evelyn said she would pass on that message. It must have been about 3 months later. I returned home from a normal 9 to 5 shift to find a card on my doormat saying, quote, "I called around, but you weren't home. We'll try again someday. Jerry Springer." I was absolutely gutted. Genuinely. I would have loved to have met the man, especially under those circumstances. I moved out of 48 Belvedere Court a couple of months later, and part of me really hopes he got to see the inside of the home he spent his first 4 years before moving to New York City. What I did find, though, is the following video of Jerry Springer reminiscing outside Belvedere Court, and I'd like to share that with you. So as you can see, this is him outside 48 Belvedere Court. I remember this front door well. I remember this lock well. as it happens. So according to the date on this video, it's the 28th of May 2012. So this would have been some 5 years prior to his sister turning up at this front door. So he says in the video he doesn't want to knock and disturb whoever's inside. By the time he popped back round, some 5.5 years later, roughly 5.5 years later, he had my permission. So I hope he almost certainly knocked. Well, he did, because he left that card. But anyway, this is quite a sweet video, so I'll just play it in its entirety for you.
Hi, I'm Jerry Springer, and this is my view of London, at least the most personal view, because I am here in Hampstead, and I'm sitting in front of the Belvedere Court. This is where I lived the first 5 years of my life. I remember looking out my window every day because I was obsessed with buses. And back then, this was in the late 40s, the two buses that came right in front of our house, the double-decker buses, were the 58, which I'm not sure exists anymore, and the 102. I'm told the 102 is still there, which is why I keep looking over there, because I'm thinking it's going to come any moment. My birth was a little bit out of the ordinary, because I was born at the Highgate, you call them tube stations, I'd say subway. The reason my mom told me I was born on a subway, or at the subway station, is because this was during the war. And during the war, women who were in their 9th month would often spend the nights in the subway stations because those were the bomb shelters. There goes the 102. Come back.
I live at number 55. Do you want to film inside?
Oh, right. No, thank you. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I lived...
I still get your post.
You still get my... Yeah, it was... I'm trying to remember now. It was either 45 or 48.
I'm on the top floor on the right, you know, the bay window flat.
Right, and I'm the one across the hall. What floor are you on?
I'm on the 3rd. Can
Third.
you walk up that far?
Yeah, we were on the 4th. So what's your number? 5?
55.
Oh,
55.
Right, so then I wasn't 45, I was 48. Oh my gosh, there's the 102. This is it. Can you stand the excitement? 62 years later. Of course, in the buses then, you could jump on in the back. So these are the newer buses, but it is the double-decker. It's the 102. Bye. Thanks.
What do you remember about this time?
Now, yeah, that's the window I looked up over. The window where the curtains open, that was my room. Wow, this was it? 48. I'm not going to knock on the door, though. I don't want to invade your privacy, but this is where I lived. I totally remember this. Wow. You could look at a 5-year-old boy and have no idea what he's going to wind up being. The correlation between what you are at birth and what you wind up being, there are so many influences. But if you have good parents, that's the strongest one.
So I hope you enjoyed that story. It's a story I hold quite dear, actually. It's one of the more interesting things that's happened in my extremely uninteresting life. Thank you for watching. And Jerry Springer, rest in peace, my friend. You're a big loss. You're a big, big loss. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.